Some moments on live television are polished, rehearsed, and quickly forgotten. Others stop time. This was one of those moments. On a recent episode of Live with Kelly and Mark, viewers tuned in expecting the familiar rhythm, the laughter, the playful teasing, the easy chemistry that has defined Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos for decades. What they didn't expect was silence. Heavy, emotional silence. The kind that settles into your chest and refuses to leave. As the cameras rolled, Mark Consuelos began speaking about health, not in a dramatic, headline-ready way, but in the quiet, deliberate tone of someone choosing honesty over performance. And as he spoke, Kelly Ripa, America's morning constant, began to unravel. Not loudly, not theatrically, but in the way that feels the most real. A conversation that changed the room. The segment didn't begin with urgency, no breaking news banner, no dramatic music, just a conversation, one that initially felt ordinary. Mark spoke about listening to his body, about how age changes the way fear shows up, about moments when strength feels more fragile than we're prepared to admit. Then he paused. That pause said everything. Mark admitted that health conversations aren't abstract anymore. They're personal, immediate, and sometimes terrifying. He talked about checkups that carry more weight than before, about waiting rooms that feel colder, about the quiet fear that creeps in during the hours you don't talk about on television. Kelly sat beside him, nodding, until she wasn't. Her eyes glossed, and suddenly the woman known for her quick wit and boundless energy struggled to hold herself together. This wasn't scripted, this wasn't planned, and that's what made it so difficult to watch. When strength finally cracks. Kelly Ripa has spent most of her career being strong for others. Strong for viewers who begin their mornings with her voice. Strong for guests sharing painful stories. Strong for a family that has grown up under public scrutiny. But in that moment, strength gave way to something else. Fear. She didn't interrupt Mark. She didn't redirect the conversation. She simply listened. And the weight of what he was saying about vulnerability, mortality, and the unpredictability of health settled visibly onto her shoulders. When Kelly finally spoke, her voice was quieter than usual. She admitted that hearing Mark talk about his health hit differently, not as a host, but as a wife, as a partner who has shared decades of life, arguments, laughter, and ordinary mornings that suddenly feel extraordinary when the possibility of loss enters the room. She wiped her eyes. She tried to smile. And for a brief moment, America watched Kelly Ripa not as a television icon, but as a woman confronting the fear of losing the person she's built her life beside. Why this moment felt different. Daytime television is built on reassurance, on optimism, on the promise that everything will be okay by the time the hour ends. But this moment refused to wrap itself neatly. Kelly didn't offer a lesson. She didn't resolve the emotion. She didn't say, "We're fine." Instead, she admitted something far braver. Sometimes we don't know. She talked about how health conversations change marriages, not because something is wrong, but because awareness itself is heavy. She spoke about lying awake at night, replaying words doctors say casually, but partners hear like alarms. "I think," she said softly, "we pretend we're prepared, and then suddenly, we're not." The studio was silent. No laughter, no cue cards, just truth. Mark Consuelos, a different kind of strength. Mark didn't rush to reassure her. He didn't brush it off or minimize her reaction. Instead, he reached for her hand. Not for the camera, not for the audience, but for her. He acknowledged that talking about health openly is uncomfortable but necessary, that ignoring fear doesn't make it disappear, and that strength doesn't mean pretending you're unafraid. It means facing uncertainty together. This wasn't a revelation of illness, it was a revelation of reality. And that distinction matters. The emotional weight of public life. For years, Kelly and Mark have been praised as one of television's most stable couples. Their chemistry feels effortless, their marriage seems unshakable. But this moment peeled back the illusion. Kelly admitted that being public doesn't make fear easier, it makes it lonelier. That worrying privately while smiling publicly is a unique kind of exhaustion. That sometimes the hardest part isn't the fear itself, but the expectation to hide it. "I think," she said softly, "we pretend we're prepared, and then suddenly we're not." The studio was silent. No laughter, no cue cards, just truth. Audience reaction, a collective pause. Within minutes, social media exploded, not with gossip, but with recognition. Viewers shared stories of sitting beside loved ones during doctor visits, of holding hands in silence, of pretending not to be scared while feeling terrified inside. Comments poured in. "This felt too real. I wasn't ready for how much this hit me. Thank you for showing this side." The clip spread, not because it was shocking, but because it was honest. And honesty, in a media landscape built on exaggeration, feels radical. Why "so hard to watch" was the right reaction. This moment wasn't hard to watch because it was tragic. It was hard to watch because it was familiar. Everyone has had or will have that conversation, the one where the future suddenly feels fragile, where love becomes heavy because it has something to lose. Kelly's reaction wasn't weakness, it was love, unfiltered. And in letting the audience see that, she broke an unspoken rule of daytime television: always keep it light. Instead, she kept it real. A redefining moment for daytime TV. This wasn't just an emotional segment, it was a cultural shift. For decades, daytime TV has thrived on polished vulnerability, stories shared after healing has already occurred. But Kelly and Mark showed something different: emotion in progress, fear without resolution, love without guarantees. They didn't offer answers, they offered presence, and that may be more powerful. The quiet aftermath. As the segment ended, Kelly took a deep breath. She composed herself, not fully, but enough. The show moved on. But something had changed. Not just for viewers, but for the space daytime television occupies. This moment proved that audiences don't need perfection, they need truth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. So Hard to Watch wasn't about health news, it wasn't about fear, it wasn't even about tears. It was about love meeting uncertainty in real time. Kelly Ripa didn't break down because something terrible was revealed. She broke down because love makes us vulnerable, and vulnerability doesn't disappear just because the cameras are on. And in that moment, she reminded millions of viewers that it's okay to be scared. It's okay to pause. It's okay to feel deeply, even on live television. Sometimes the hardest moments to watch are the ones that stay with us the longest. And sometimes they're exactly what we need. If this moment moved you, you're not alone. If it felt familiar, you're not weak. And if it reminded you to hold someone a little closer today, then it mattered.